Welcome back everyone, it's Nicola Cairncross here, and I've just heard from someone in New Zealand who I used to work with that she says hello to me every day when she hears me say that, so that's rather wonderful. So hello Linda, how are you? So every time I sit down to record one of these videos, I've got a list of potential topics I could talk about, and I add to that list whenever I hear someone saying something that inspires me. One of the videos I've been wanting to make for a while is a simple one. It's what is digital marketing? And the reason I want to make that video is because I'm very aware all the time when I do sit down to make a video that there's a lot of people out there who are coming to becoming an entrepreneur or a business owner from corporate life. And, you know, whether they're retiring, whether they're being made redundant, whether they're losing their job, it's just horrendous numbers of people are losing their jobs at the moment, and that's really why I came out of semi-retirement to start this again, because I've just got, not everybody's got 25 years experience or more. I mean, I started my first business when I was about 8 years old, and not everyone's read hundreds and hundreds of books about being a business owner, how to market your business better, how to run your money better, and all that stuff. And I really have. I've read hundreds, if not thousands, of books over the years. But so let's just start with the basic question: what is digital marketing? And in order to answer that, I need to go back in time to a time before digital marketing existed, and I am old enough to remember that, which is a bit terrifying, isn't it? If you look at the olden days, as they're known, my kids would think of that as being the 70s and 80s, but I'm talking about 100 years before that. It was enough just to open a shop on a high street and put a sign out, and that was called hanging your shingle out. And, basically everyone would go down the high street, everyone would know who you were, everyone would know what you were doing and what you could do for them, and they would go away and they would tell their friends. And there was no distractions in those days. There wasn't any telly, there wasn't any going to the cinema or anything like that. So people did talk a lot and word would spread quickly. That was often all you needed to do. And then the other thing you needed to do was to be good at what you did and to care about your customers, because there was nothing that killed a business quicker than not knowing what you were doing and not caring about your customers and giving them good service. Word would spread equally quickly, if not more quickly, about that. So then let's fast forward a little bit to the middle of this century. Again, you could start a business on a high street, although the high streets are more spread out now, and you could Then you had to figure out how to market your business. If you weren't on the high street, you had to get even better at marketing. So how did you market your business then? There were different ways. There was advertising. You could pay for advertising in your local newspaper. Radio stations hadn't been invented yet, but when they were, you could pay for ads on your local radio station, then obviously your local television station when that came along. You could also leaflet drop, and some of these methods still work brilliantly nowadays. You could advertise in directories. So if someone was wanting to buy a particular kind of machinery, they would possibly get a directory of people who manufactured that kind of machinery. If you had a shop, you could put signs up in your own windows. You could pay for signs in other people's windows. You could actually pay for signs on the road, and people still do that today. Lots of different ways to let people know about your business. The main trick really with marketing in those days was finding out where your ideal customers were. Figuring out who your ideal customers were in the first place was a good way to go about things. And then finding out how to get in front of the biggest number of them as you possibly could. There's also the question that you have to ask yourself is, do you have to educate your customer about their need for your goods and services? If you do, then you've given yourself a bit more of an uphill slog than if you actually get in front of a horde of hungry customers and sell them what they know they want. That makes life a whole lot easier. And that's still one of the biggest challenges today, actually, when I talk to people, is asking people who their ideal customer is. What do they buy first? What's the profit margin on that? How much of that profit margin are you willing to give away to get the next customer? Knowing that once customers bought from you once, they're quite likely to buy from you again if you offer them the right next thing. But so many people don't stop to answer these questions before they go into business, and that's a real shame, because they could save themselves an awful lot of grief if they got clarity about these things and thought about the kind of business, and maybe your business could do with a tweak, so that instead of having to find a new customer over and over again every single time, you could work out a flow of products that would serve your ideal customers' needs, so that you could actually sell new things to existing customers, which makes life a whole lot easier because you don't have to go out and find them each time. In those days, there was something called direct mail or direct marketing, which I was always quite drawn to. I like the idea of sending one thing to 100 or 1,000 people, and a certain number of them would respond if you got the offer right. So I was really quite drawn to that, and I actually did quite a lot of it in the early days. And then the internet came along, and I very swiftly realised that there was the benefits of the direct marketing, but you didn't have to spend all the money to get the stamps and the printing done and the envelopes and stuff the envelopes and put the stamps on and sign all the letters and send them all out. The other thing, of course, was that people used to use catalogues. So that was very popular at the turn of the last century, especially coming up to the First World War. They were predicted to be the biggest growth in in selling things, taking over from shops even. Everyone was predicting that shops would go by the wayside. And then the First World War came along and changed everything. So catalogues, although carrying on being popular, they weren't as popular as they had been. So middle of this century, well, towards the end of the century, I mean, I remember exactly when the internet hit my consciousness. It was 1995, and I was expecting my first baby, Phoebe, who's 27 now. She told me the other day. I thought she was 26, so there you go. 27 years ago, and I bought a little laptop off of someone in order to be able to do some spreadsheets for our new record label we were setting up. And he told me that it would connect to the internet, and I said, "What's that then?" And he said, "Here it is. If you just plug a little wire into this bit of the laptop and plug a little wire into your telephone socket, you have to get an AOL disk to put into your laptop." And somehow that made the telephone talk to the laptop and the laptop talk to everyone else in the world. And it was the most exciting thing I'd ever come across. So I decided I wanted to learn how to make websites, one specifically for our record label. And that's how I got started on my digital marketing career. I bought HTML for the World Wide Web by Elizabeth Castro. I still remember that book as if it was yesterday. And she basically taught us in a really easy to understand style that if you put bits of code onto a page and then upload that page to the internet, it would show pictures and colours and all sorts of exciting things like that. And it was just fantastic, and I could see immediately the potential for marketing. They really figured out very quickly the principles, how to take the principles of direct marketing online and use them on the internet. That combined a combination of things: the technology, the offer, and the words and pictures. So those basically are the four things. And that is really what digital marketing is. But of course, there's so much more to it than that. There's using the right words. There's using words that are exciting. There's using words that that stir emotion. There's using stories. Storytelling is huge online. You've really got to get good at that. And I think I did a video a while ago where I mentioned Andre Chaperon, who taught you how to write your emails in what he called a cliffhanger style. So you line up 5 notes on your desktop and you write a story over the 5 notes. And if you followed that video, you'll know that I like to use the hero's journey, because that's one of the most fundamental stories that humans absolutely love. And if you can divide your story up into 5 parts, which is coincidentally, very conveniently lines up with the hero's journey rather well, then you can tell a story over 5 emails. And the other thing that came out, when was it now? Let me just think. 2006, 2008, was Product Launch Formula. Jeff Walker, Product Launch Formula. And he basically taught everyone how to tell a story in 3 to 5 videos. And to make that a launch with all the excitement. So you'd have to wait till the next day. It's a bit like we're all watching Happy Valley at the moment, series 3. And we're all having to wait a week for the next episode. It's unheard of. But the BBC have done it very cleverly. Not that I like the BBC generally, but they've done it very cleverly, and they're making us all wait. Coming back to the original question, what is digital marketing? It's a modern, up-to-date way of letting people know about your business, and letting people know what you can do for them, and letting people know in advance that you care about customer service and that you've got authenticity and integrity. So creating a website is not so much, as it used to be, a multi-page affair. It can be creating a one-page affair. And you can use something like card.co. to set up your website. You don't even need, the old, it's changing all the time. It's getting easier, simpler, cheaper all the time. Everyone talks about the gold rush when they're talking about the internet, and everyone knows particularly that the people who made the most money from the gold rush were not the people who were out there digging for gold. It was the people who sold the picks and the shovels and the jeans and the food, and who owned the shops that sold those things. So with the internet, it's got to the point now where the gold rush is still there, and lots of people are still coming online to seek their fortune. And yes, you can still make a lot of money selling the things that people need, but the things that people need change so frequently and so quickly. It's much better to spend your time keeping up to date with I find it's much better for me to use my mind, because I'm a quick learner and I like learning and I love new things. It's much better for me to be the maven who collects all the best ways of doing things and who experiments and tries out the new things as they come along. And then I can tell that to my clients, so they don't have to waste their time and their money going down old-fashioned routes that they don't need to do anymore. Even the concept of having a self-hosted WordPress website, something that was the holy grail for a lot of us for many, many years, is now starting to look a little bit old-fashioned. And there are lots and lots of people online who don't do any of that. They just literally set up a social media profile, say an Instagram account, and they just start showing their stuff to people, or they just start showing their skills to people. So digital marketing really is an ever-evolving, ever-changing way of finding the people who want to buy what you have or what you offer. And it's nothing more complicated than that. Within that, there are many, many different ways you can go about it. And, we've talked about personality tests before. I think one of my most recent videos was about your fatal flaws and how to recognise what you're strong at and what you're not so good at, and turn that around to something you can work with and not to let it hold you back. So while there are many, many ways that you can market yourself online, your choice of which ones to use should be limited, because it will save you time and keep you focused. And it should be as cheap as possible, and it should also be something you can test. We've talked before about testing in these videos, and the best thing of all is that you don't need to guess or be right or wrong about something. All you need to do is get started, get something up there, get some eyeballs on your offers, and then start testing slowly, one thing at a time, to iterate your way to success. So that's one of the best things of all about digital marketing. Is in the olden days, it would have taken quite a lot of time and quite a lot of money to even get to one method of marketing, and it would have been quite hard for them to test one method against another. And also there wasn't so many people around teaching marketing in those days. Although there are some good books on offline marketing that I'd really like to recommend. There's a chap called Jay Abraham who's got some fantastic books about how to market offline. I think one of them is How to Get Everything You Want from What You've Already Got, or a title like that. It's in my top 30 business books of all time on clicks and leads. If you just search top 30 business books Nicola Cairncross, you'll find it. But he's got some fantastic ideas about how to market your business offline, but then don't neglect online as well. But do come to someone who knows about the latest, most up-to-date methods, so that we can steer you down a path that will save you time and money, and it'll mean that you're not doing something that's gone out of fashion already. But when I say that, I mean something that's technically gone out of date already. One of my most favourite quotes of all is, I think it's Peter Drucker, who said that the aim of great marketing is to make selling superfluous. And again, I've talked about selling before. There's a couple of videos I've done about people who don't like selling, where I cover the fact that selling is really just the art of listening to your customers and the art of making it easy for your customers to buy from you. But first of all, you have to attract them. And that's really what digital marketing is about, is how to attract your ideal customer online in an ethical, authentic, effortless way that has people asking for your email address, asking for your website address, coming and finding you. You know, if I really want to work with someone, I will hunt them down until I find them and get to talk to them. And it's just a question of making that easy, making that process easy for your ideal customer. Someone who's already decided from your marketing that they want to work with you, and now it's just a question of making it easy for them to buy. I hope that explains digital marketing in a nutshell. I'm not sure if I've rambled horribly on that one, so the edit will tell. But if you've got any questions at all about what digital marketing is and how it can be used for you, I haven't ever come across a business yet that wouldn't benefit from some form of digital marketing. So if you think you've got a business that would not suit being marketed online, do let me know in the comments underneath, because I would love to hear from you, and let's have a conversation about how we could make it happen. In the meantime, have a great evening and I'll see you tomorrow.